Hello, greetings from Hyderabad. Today's event focuses on building dynamic RAG applications with Vertex AI and Sitecore, which is presented by Subramanian Ramanathan and hosted by Yamini and Vishal. Over to you, Subramanian. Thank you.
Thanks, Yamini. Thanks, Vishal. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Today, we'll be discussing about how you can build dynamic RAG applications with Vertex AI and Sitecore. So we all know, I think most of us know, like how to build RAG applications with OpenAI and Sitecore. So it has been there in the industry for about 2 years. Like I'll be covering what is RAG, like in case if you're not familiar. So here we'll be discussing more about how you can build a dynamic RAG, like which is basically a chatbot or a chat experience or search experience or a RAG application, which is familiar with the real-time knowledge from the Google search grounding as well. So that's what we'll be covering today. I'm Subbu. I'm working as Senior Director of Technology at Altido. I lead the Innovations and Solutions team within Altido and the Sitecore Center of Excellence. And I'm a three-time Sitecore Technology MVP. So I have built like some of the modules like Sitecore Teams app and Order Cloud Teams app, and also certain Chrome extensions and OpenAI integration. And so we'll be discussing about the Vertex AI integrations which I have created. So we'll start with some of the history of like what has happened in the industry over the last 2 years, like since the OpenAI has released, because it was a major disruption in our space. So we can discuss like what has happened over the last 2 years, and then we can dive into what is Vertex AI and the Gemini models, like which Google has released, and we can dive deeper into different AI solutions which Google has released, and a live demonstration of like how all of those products look like. And then we'll dive into the RAG architecture, like how the RAG architecture looks like, how you can inject data from Sitecode into the Vertex AI and build a chat or search experience or any other RAG application as well. So here is some of the, here is some history. So in 2022, the GPT 3.5 was released. It has like 175 billion parameters. Like these parameters are something like which you can, it's kind of like, if you go more technical, it's weights and bias. It's something within the neural network, but the number of parameters that's used in a model will help to improve the accuracy and the relevancy of like what kind of response it can give. So 175 billion is too high, and that's why like 3.5 was a success. Like it was able to respond to most of the queries which we were able to ask. And ChatGPT was launched in 2022, and DALL-E 2, like which is that generation of the images like this, which also came in 2022. And the open source LLM started booming at the time. Like one of the example is Bloom. Like a lot of people started creating like open source LLMs, and they were offering it free to the market. And in the first half of 2023, ChatGPT hits 100 million users. Like a lot of people started using, like we were able to like see like multiple diagrams in the internet, which showed like how many people started adopting to the ChatGPT. And ChatGPT plugins and API was released, because in 2022, when it was released, it was just a single standalone product. We were not able to take advantage of it. But in 2023, when the plugins and API was released, a lot of people were able to create their own GPTs, and we were also be able to like integrate this within our website and different types of platforms that the people were using. And GPT-4 was launched. It had 1 trillion parameters approximately, like which is too high, like which is much more than the 175 billion, and it was able to like provide more accurate response. And Whispers, it's actually speech to text model. Like this was also released around that time. It was able to convert all the speech into text. And Google Bard and Palm 2 was also released. Google was trying to compete with OpenAI, but it was not able to do at that point, like because OpenAI was like far ahead of Google. And the Llama models was also released. It's from Meta, and it was also a powerful open source model. And in the second half of 2023, Gemini 1.0 was released. Like this was one of the powerful model of Google, and it was able to answer more complex questions than the GPT model itself. And in most of the other cases, GPT was excelling. So it was the competition started to begin around the second half of 2023, and ChatGPT 4 multimodal inputs came into picture. Like it was able to accept both the text and images. Like previously, we used to have like two separate models for text and image, but then the GPT-4 Turbo Vision, all of these models started to accept two types of inputs as well. So this is helpful to build certain complex scenarios as well. And Llama 2 was released. It was also a more powerful model. Falcon, like it is also another open source model. And Azure AI Studio started allowing open source models like Llama, Falcon, and also NVIDIA, like multiple other models into it. Like with Azure Open Studio, like it was able to we were originally able to use the OpenAI models like GPT-4 and GPT 3.5, but then later in 2023, it allowed the usage of other open source models as well. And in the first half of 2024, Gemini 1.5 was released, which was even more powerful than 1.0. And it had integrations with Google Workspace, like including Gmail, chat, like multiple other things, like so that it was able to we were able to like leverage that not only in our website and the other areas, but in also in the Google products as well. So multiple companies, enterprises use Google Gmail for their communication and all. They were able to take advantage of that immediately. This was a major disruption there in the Google space. And the Vertex AI Agent Builder was also released at that time, like which we'll be discussing in deeper within this call today. And the open source models were also supported in Vertex AI, multiple open source model. You can now go into the Vertex AI platform of Google. That's the AI platform of Google where you can go and select your open source models as well. So you don't have to like pay anything and you will still be utilizing and some minimal cost involved in building the agent builder, which we'll be discussing. And Google Search Grounding was also released during the first half of 2024. This is one of the major innovation. So previously, like if you see the models were trained only till like September 2021 or October 2022, like that, right? Like so we were not able to take the advantage of the real-time information that's available within the internet because the model was little backdated. That was a challenge with the GPT-4 models. And Gemini was able to overcome that challenge. It was able to do the Google search as well and give the relevant response. Like if you ask a question around what's happening real time, it is able to answer. So if you go to GPT-4 and if you ask any question around what has happened in 2024, it might not be able to respond. Like it would just give you the old data which on which it is trained upon. But Google search grounding is available in Gemini and it is able to give the relevant response. You might have already played around with it. And GPT-4o was released in first half of 2024. So before GPT-4o was released, when we were using Gemini 1.5, it was able to give like more accurate and better responses than GPT-4. But when GPT-4 was 4o was released, it became a even like better competition. Like for certain cases, like we were able to see Gemini 1.5 giving a good response for certain questions, and GPT-4o was not that great, but it's also vice versa for certain other scenarios. It's a very tight competition. And in the second half of 2024 now, like we have the second version of Gemini 1.5 model, like which is even more powerful. It has reduced price. So it's almost only 50% of the cost of the GPT-4 mini model, which is like the most cheapest model that the OpenAI can offer. So it's 50% lower than that. And it has improved its latency as well. And also they have increased the rate limits as well. So it's in most cases like it is getting better, but it is a little hard to say. Like so, if you want to choose either OpenAI or Gemini, it depends on your scenario. You have to test both the models and see which one works. And in some cases, it's better to create a composable one, right? Like so, it's so today Gemini might be better for some cases, but then tomorrow, like GPT-5 will be released and it might be better. So you have to be open for those changes. This is what happened over the last 2 years. And now we will dive deep into the Vertex AI platform. To give you a brief overview, what is Vertex AI is it's the one platform which Google has created for its AI solution, and everything will come under it. Like it has multiple products like AI Studio and Agent Builder, and within that, like it has like multiple capabilities as well. So everything comes within the Vertex AI. It's a single terminology from Google. And before diving deep into what is Vertex AI, I wanted to explain you like what is RAG, like in case if you are new to RAG. So in case of this is basically Retrieval Augmented Generation, and here one of the things which we discussed previously is that like the models were trained only till a specific date. It won't be able to answer anything like which is recent, or it won't be able to answer anything which is around your knowledge base, which is proprietary, like which is within your client infrastructure. because the model won't have access to it and it won't be trained upon that data. It is trained upon only whatever is available in the internet, right? So you'll have like certain proprietary information which should be available for the model. So how we solve this problem is when somebody gives an input, like if they ask any question or any kind of input, uh, we do a retrieval with the knowledge base. This knowledge base is something like it could be SharePoint or Sitecore or whatever it may be, and but it has to be indexed in a specific data source or data store or a search kind of platform. It has to go in there with the embeddings. Okay, embeddings is one of the a technology which is used to find like more relevant responses. If you think of any word in English, right, left or right or anything like whatever, if you think of, everything has like two different meanings. Left has two meanings, right has two meanings, but the meaning of the word depends on where you put that word in the sentence, right? So depending on the where it goes in the sentence, the meaning gets assigned for that word. So that's why it becomes hard for certain keyword-based search to find the relevant documents, right? So keyword search is not efficient because of this specific reason that every word has multiple meanings and it's very hard to find. Like if somebody asks a phrase or if somebody asks a question, it won't be able to respond. We won't be able to find the appropriate document with the keyword thing. So that's why this concept of embeddings came up, and embeddings and vector-based search, like it helps us to find the relevant documents quickly. And here we use that embedding-based search technology to retrieve the relevant documents. That's what is the search results, right? So if somebody asks a question, we find the relevant documents from our knowledge base, and then it may be like 3 documents or 5 documents, and then we append along with the input augmented. We'll send this to the model as a question. So basically, when we send to the model, we'll have the context, whatever we have in our website, and then the question, and then it'll be able to generate the response, right? In layman terms, if I have to explain, it's basically if you go to ChatGPT, right? So if you put in a paragraph, and if you say convert this into a bullet point, then it will convert that into the bullet points, right? So that context is something it's you can think of this retrieval part, like it you put it manually, right? Like so in like we developers, like we do an API based search, we get all of those details and we prepare that context, and then we append it with the input, the user's question, and then we send it to the LLM. So that's what it represents. So this is called retrieval augmented generation. And anytime guys, like if you don't understand anything or if you have any specific question, you can just pause me there. Like you can just raise your hand and I'll pause and you can ask those questions. So like with this RAG was achievable with the Azure AI search or any other search platform and OpenAI as well, right? So we were able to achieve that RAG, and we were able to serve our customers um, in the past, right? Like over the last 2 years. But now this Vertex AI has come in. Like why we need Vertex AI, right? Like if OpenAI is able to solve the problem, why we need to think about Vertex AI, right? So it again, Vertex AI won't work for like all scenarios. Like it's something like which you have to decide. Like I'll give you both the pros and cons in this presentation, and you can decide for your situation. So the first one is it comes with improved accuracy. Where in the previous diagram, what we saw is like we were able to get the results, right? So you cannot get like more than like 8,000 tokens, or I think like 128K tokens in the GPT model in the Azure OpenAI. That's the maximum limit. So 128K tokens. You can think of it as a characters, like it's a different representation from the OpenAI. So that's the token limit. So you cannot provide like too much of context as well. But in case of Gemini, you will be able to provide even 1 million token limit, right? So this is too high. And with Gemini Pro, it can be like even a 2 million token limit. And how it can help is like, for example, if you have like 1,000 products, right? And if you don't have a single product, a single page like listing all of those products, and if you have like all of these spread across like 1,000 separate product pages or product documents, right? So then OpenAI may not be able to respond to a question which says like, give me all the products that you have, right? Because it has 128 token limits, like which fits only like maybe 10 or 15 documents, right? It won't be able to fit everything. But Gemini will be able to fit like much longer context, right? It will be able to provide even more better and accurate response because it has a higher token limit. And the next benefit is Google search grounding. So if you build a chat experience or a search experience, right? Like so in certain cases, like you may need your bot may need real-time information as well. Like it could be like a PAI, publicly available information. For example, it could be something related to the weather, right? You can also do it with calling an API. You can call an API and get the weather data. But then the one challenge is like the API that you're calling may or may not have the data that you're looking for. So it may not like, for example, like if you use weather.com API, right? It might not have the weather data for a specific location that you're looking for, like a small town or a small village, right? But another provider might have that data, right? So the API might work well here for the PI information, but then the Google search is the best solution for that because it search across the internet. It finds like 2 3 articles which has the same data, and then it validates it, and then it sends you the response, right? So Google search is better than the API kind of calling. So that's one differentiator, and then it also has like latest news information. If you're building anything around your finance site, and if somebody comes and asks the question like, what is the latest news which is impacting the stock market, let's say. So then your model would be able to answer in real time based on whatever data you have. The other option is like you can say like, so I don't have the latest information. You can go search in internet, right? But then if they go out of your site, it will be considered as a bounce rate. Like they may or may not come back to your site. Like some other person might have an ad, and like they might try to like navigate to their site, and you might lose the customer, right? So that's one of the challenge, and it also can do some search on your competitor website, like see what prices they have, like what better prices like that you can give runtime. And sometimes it can be like an employee experience as well. Like you can build a chatbot which helps your sales team, so they don't have to do any Google search. And this Google search grounding concept of the Gemini model will do the Google search, do the validation. It checks in like 2 3 pages and then gets the right information back. And it also supports like some partner site. For example, if somebody is trying to buy a product from your website, and if they already have like the base product or a different product which connects well with that in their home already, then they can just probably put that like, I have this product, with this product be compatible with yours, right? So then your model will be able to answer that because it is able to do the Google search. Then the next one is the extensive integrations, like it integrates with multiple social media channels like Google Chat, Messenger, all of these. And when the pricing is 50% of the lowest cost GPT-4 model. So these are the pros that we discussed. But certain thing which you have to keep in mind is like we work within Sitecore, right? Sitecore's preferred partner is Microsoft primarily, right? Like most of our customers have their hosting within the Azure. So if they don't have Google Cloud Platform, then this may be a overhead for the IT people, right? Like so to manage both of these platforms, like make sure all of those billing and everything, right? So there is like some overhead there, but you have like more benefits. You will prefer to go with Gemini as well. The other thing which to consider is with the XM Cloud, right? Like we prefer to deploy it within Vercel, and there may not be a need for hosting something in Azure as well. So if there is a net new customer like who's coming to Sitecore, like who is already having a well-established Google Cloud platform, then Gemini might be a good option for them. Okay. The other thing is to notice, like most of the marketers will still have the Google Cloud platform through their Google Analytics or anything else, right? So in that case, it might not be overhead, like when Gemini might still work for them. And the other one is relatively higher latency. 4.0, like for the 4.0 GPT model, it seems to perform little better. Like for example, if it's able to respond a query in 2 seconds, then Gemini Flash sometimes takes 2.5 or 3 seconds, right? So a slight higher latency I've noticed for some of the queries. For some of the queries, it was able to respond in 1.5 seconds. So you have to do like some kind of testing and think about these two before you opt for Gemini. And here are the two major Google's AI solutions which are available within the Vertex AI platform. The first one is the AI Studio. Here you can build and train a model. You can deploy your own custom model, and it works with custom frameworks, and it can do like pretty heavy tasks like predictive analytics, image classification, like complex tasks, and it can also do some parallel training and help you to achieve your goals pretty quickly. Like the training can be done in parallel. Sometimes it can take it up to an hour. Like if you're building a fine-tuned custom model with your own data set, it can take up like several hours. And but AI Studio helps you to do that pretty quickly as well. So this is what is about AI Studio, and with Agent Builder, this is another product. Like this is another. They are also call it as App Builder. It has pre-built components like for chat, search, agent, or recommendations, which are the four primary things people try to build with an AI. So they have got pre-built templates and components with which you can quickly build anything. This is and also you can. This is primarily working for chatbots, virtual assistants, and anything similar. And it has integrations with Google Chat, speech to text as well. And it helps with like more, like I mean, less complex. And if you want a quicker solution, you can go for this. We can now like look at both of these options, and then I'll pause for some questions. So this is the Vertex AI platform, AI Studio you can think of, and here you can think of like different pipelines and like workflows. And this model garden has different types of model, including the open source models as well. And here, this Collab Enterprise and Workbench is something you can think of like a coding space, right? It's similar to the Google Cloud Shell editor as well. You can probably code and you can test different models. You can build frameworks here. There are like ML frameworks like TensorFlow, PyChart, like all of these, like you can take advantage of it and build within the platform itself. And here within this, you also have these different prompts, like you can just test out like certain instructions, prompts, all of these images and all. And then you have these data. This part is very important. Like here you can create feature stores as something like you can create certain attributes. Like if you have like large data sets, for example, if you have multiple dimensional data coming from CDP or Order Cloud or somewhere, right? You can bring all of these together within the Vertex AI platform, and you can create certain features like, for example, the username, the user's profile, like how many times they have visited the site. Like all of these are like certain different attributes or properties, right? You can create those as features within the feature store. And then the data sets would be your pre-existing data, which you can inject here. And these are kind of like dimensions. The features are kind of dimensions, which will help the AI to understand that this is the format of the data, and kind of like understand the data better and those dimensions better, and it is able to do certain AI application better. This is something similar to Fabric. You can do some kind of online prediction. Like for example, if you have a customer like who has purchased for like 10 times before 6 months, and for the last 6 months the customer has not purchased, like you can make some kind of query and some predictive analysis and see like what would be the best product that you can put in front of the customer, like looking at like similar other customers and who has bought like after 6 months, right? So you can look at those patterns and you can recommend some products for that customer. So these kind of complex use cases you can build with these tools that you can see here. It includes vector search, like your custom search that you can bring to the table. And the Ray is a platform like where you can train like models in parallel. It supports scaling, flexibility, custom frameworks, all of these. So this is a very complex platform, like which we may not really need. Like it is more for like data scientists who really work on that. Like we as developers may not use that platform, but I just wanted to like make you understand like what is that for. And this agent builder is another platform within the Vertex AI umbrella style, and it helps us to build those chat experiences, search, and recommendation, and other. If you click on this create app, you can see all of these options. So this is one example of the search. And within like few button clicks, you will be able to create those applications. Here you can see the chat, recommendations, and agent preview. And all of these are powered by a data store, right? So that data store is something you can think of. Like this is an example. I haven't indexed anything yet, but I'll show you in detail when we dive into the demo part. This data store is what is connected with your databases like Sitecore or SharePoint and everything, and it gets the data. And then the app that we build, right, that will be able to use the data store, and it has monitoring and certain other settings as well. So back in here, okay, let's move on to the architecture. So this is the high level architecture that we have got. Like I've got a couple of modules like a Psycho PowerShell module for XP applications and Connect module for XM Cloud. What this module does is if somebody is trying to publish anything in Sitecore, it pushes the content into the data store. And when it pushes the content into the data store, it generates the embeddings automatically. The embeddings is the way of search, like which I mentioned earlier, right? Which is an alternative to the keyword search. So that's where it gets done automatically within the data store. But in case of OpenAI, you have to build your own embeddings. Like you have to invoke the embedding model, you have to get the embedding, and then you have to put it into the Azure AI search. So that's for the OpenAI based thing. But in case of Google, like this is getting done automatically. And here in cloud storage, you can have multiple documents like PDF documents or a PPT, right? All of these can go into your cloud storage, and you can index these documents within the data store. Like this is also done automatically. And one thing to remember is, so in case of like a PDFs, right? It can have like 1,000 pages, like which would be like more than a million tokens. And here it can this tool can automatically chunk it to make sure like it is like 1 million into like 1 million chunks, and then it can generate embeddings and it can do it automatically. All of these are like happening within the agent builder itself. Like you don't have to do any kind of coding or anything, so it does it automatically. So that now the data store has multiple inputs from the cloud storage and from your Sitecore as well. And it has like all of those indexed documents. And when the user comes now, and if they put in the query to the agent builder, to the search app, to the recommendations, or to the chat experience, right? So your users, end users will ask a question, and sometimes you will have an intermediate application which fine tunes that query and then add some more context or something, and then you might pass it to the agent builder, or you can directly pass it to the agent builder as well. And when you pass it to the agent builder, it does the grounding. Like it has an inbuilt tool called data store, which actually searches the data store, prepares the response, and it automatically passes back to the agent builder app. And the other option is you can also get some external data through API as well. And the third option is you can also do the Google search grounding. This grounding is not like supported out of the box from the agent builder. So you have to do an OpenAI app, OpenAPI app, which is basically like you can think of a Google Cloud function, right? Like that's also an OpenAPI standard app. And within that app, like you need to call the Gemini model with grounding enabled. So we can look at that coding as well. So it's pretty easy. So you can get that grounding and you can pass it back to the users. So any questions so far, team? Are you able to follow what I'm explaining, like before we dive deep into the demo?
There was a question, which is just not to the context, but yeah, Dilly Babu, you can ask the query.
Hmm.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Shubhu. Thanks for this session. So I have a question related to the grounding. The
Hmm.
grounding is like based on when AI model gives any response, okay? So we will try to map the output of the AI model properly to the source, I mean, the question that we are asking. So it is
Hmm.
after the output that comes from the LLM model, right? Here in Agent
Hmm.
Builder, you are saying like before sending to Agent Builder, we will do the grounding. What exactly happens in that part? Is it
Hmm.
different way of grounding, or normally we used to do the grounding in AI application, right? Is that same both?
So yeah, we can also do it after as well, but primarily within the AI applications, you will do the grounding before you send the response to. I mean, before you send the question to the AI or the agent builder app, right? So you will find the context from your search, right? So that is the primary concept of the grounding, right? Like you will the retrieval part, like where you get the data from the search, and you append it as a context. You frame it up as a context, and you prepare the prompt and send it to the AI. Right. So that is called grounding.
Okay, you mean when we retrieve the information from knowledge base, after retrieving
Yes.
that context, we do another level of grounding and then we will send it to the LLM
Yes.
application.
Yes. Correct. Exactly.
Again, after from LLM application, what usually LLM can give various response, right? Again, there also we can do grounding. So that also
Yeah.
possible in this agent builder app.
Yes, yes. That is
Okay,
possible within the OpenAI API tool.
okay,
I'll be showing that. I'll be covering that in the demo as well.
okay. And also, can we
Yeah.
use any kind of a tooling apart from API APIs? So we
Mm.
have a concept of toolings, right?
Like
Can we integrate those
plugins.
things? Yeah, correct. Plugins. Can we integrate
Yeah.
with the agent builder application like how we are doing with OpenAI kind of a thing?
Okay, yeah, it will be open API only here. So that is so if you want to like use extensions, that will you have to use the AI Studio, but with Agent Builder, it will be only open API. Like you have to call your own API. You have to make it as an API. You cannot build the custom extensions right now, but it will come soon.
Okay, sure. Thanks,
Yeah,
thanks for that.
yeah, yeah. So there are some inbuilt integrations as well. We can look at it. It's in preview mode. I think it's pretty much evolving. Like soon, you may be able to build your own as well.
For sure.
So, sounds good. So diving into the demo. So I've created a Lighthouse demo. So this is an existing Lighthouse application, and here I'll explain the module quickly, whatever we have in place. So the first one for XP applications, we have an XP module, SPE module, and which gets triggered upon the publish end. So if somebody publishes, and you can extend it for workflow or any other use cases as well. So once if a publish event is triggered, then after that we will try to index the content. And here are some of the functions that we have got, which basically looks at the published content, gets the URL of it, and then it pushes it into the data store. And here we have like some of the settings as well. So for this example, like I put this here. So these settings, but you guys know like the confidential information should go into the key vault or anything. But just for your like quicker understanding or for your quicker demo, like I put it here. So these are the templates like which we can index. You can configure from this module. This module is available in GitHub, and you can install it and you can configure what all templates have to be indexed and the content fields, like what all fields have to go into the index. And here you can see like some of those Google authentication. And when you create the credentials in Google, it will give you a certificate, a P12 kind of certificate, like which you have to put it in your folder structure in your file system. And all of those details are within the GitHub README file itself. And here I'm using those things. And you can see like all of those data store settings. So this is the Sitecore PowerShell module. And this one you can see here is the connect module. And whenever somebody publishes the content, we are triggering the webhook here. And then we're getting the item details using the GraphQL connector. Soon Sitecore should be releasing the XM Cloud connector, but for now, like you will be using only the GraphQL connector. And this is one of the connector SDK which I've created because there wasn't anything yet for the agent builder. It's still in the preview mode. And you can see those ones here, the connector SDK itself. This is the connector SDK code. And this I have included the link of it in the GitHub documentation, which I'll be sharing. So you can also install the connector right away and you can modify it as well. So these are the two ways, the connect and the SP module, to push the information from Sitecore into the data store. And for this specific demo, we'll be looking at one of the articles here. So this is the article that we'll be looking at in today's demo. And this is that specific page. Here you can see it's about the retirement planning. And it's for Canada. In Canada, you have like multiple retirement options. Like I've called out RRSP, TFSA, RRIF and this pension plan. And there are like more other options as well, like which I have not included here, like anything around real estate, like multiple things are there, but I have not covered anything here, but only because this company provides only these 4 options. So that's the understanding. And now if we go to the data store, to show you this. I'll quickly walk you through this app as well. This is the app that I've created. Like all of these are just button clicks, like no coding there behind the scenes. That is, the coding is only for the function app that I've created, which I'll explain. So I've created 2 agents here. You can see one is info agent and the other one is insight agent. This info agent is connected with the knowledge base. So this is connected with the data source, the data store, and that data store gets all the detail from the sideboard, as we saw in the previous architecture diagram. And here I put some goals, some instructions, like if somebody asks a question, you have to respond. Then I've connected with the available tool. And then this insight agent is another app which I've created. Like here, as I mentioned earlier, the Google search grounding is not supported inbuilt as of now with the agent builder. So I have built built this Open API tool through Open API. I'm calling a function app. And from that function app, I'm calling the Gemini AI model with the Google search grounding enabled. So it can give me the relevant response. So the function app basically makes multiple calls. So one call to the knowledge base and to get the relevant data of like what our company provides, and another call to the Google search grounding to get the real-time information, and then it combines both the data and it sends as a response to the user. I've called it as real-time insights. This is the tool name. And the tools, you can see it here. So here, if you look at the knowledge base, like it's of type data store, open API, and function. Only these 3 are supported right now. So it doesn't support a plugin or extension type as of now. But then you can make the plugin available through an API, REST API, and then you can use the OpenAI or API specification to inject that. So here you can see an example of how the data store looks like. Here I've given a description. And this is the data store I'm using right now. I'll show you the data source as well. And enable grounding. And the next one is the real-time insights. This is basically an open API specification. So whenever you create a specific REST API, right, through Swagger tool, you can build an API specification and put it here. So here I'm using the Google Cloud Functions here. And this is the method that I'm calling. And here you can see like what input you have to pass, like what output you have to get. Like that is what I have designed here. And this is also available in the Google, in the GitHub repository. I've exported this as an app and I've added it there. Like if you want to play around, you can try that there as well. So you have these 2 tools, and these 2 tools are used in the above 2 agents. And the other thing is like here in the conversation history, like if you want to like debug anything, like you can probably look at the history. And here are these integrations which I mentioned, which uses these Google chat. So all of these, like these are the existing integrations as of now, which you can use. Basically, this chat experience can be integrated with Google Chat. That's the. And if I now go to this one, and I'll show you the data store as well. Yeah. So I have this data stores here, and this is the data store I'm using. So right now it doesn't have any data here. Going and putting in a question right now. So it says it doesn't have any information right now, so it cannot provide anything. And here you can see it makes a knowledge-based call, and it is not able to find any relevant answers here, because there is nothing there right now. So now I'll go and publish this. So when I publish, I make that API call to index this document and store it through the Sitecore PowerShell app. So now if I come in here, so yeah, here is the document. I'm using the Sitecore item ID itself, so that whenever like any change comes and somebody publishes, updates and publishes again, it will gets appended to the same ID. Here you can see the idea, the link of the document, and then the last updated timestamp, it's today's date, and then the content as well. So now if we go and ask the same question here, I'll click on this replay. Takes a bit of time. Give a couple of minutes. Yeah, it's now able to respond. So here you can see it takes a couple of minutes to kind of like understand everything. So here you can see like it says the RRSP, RRIF, DCPP, and whatever like we saw in this article. Now I'll ask another question. I think this is tricky. Now I have to fine tune the prompts or something. I think I was playing around this. Maybe I think I messed up something, but then it gives you the relevant response. Like here is the GitHub page. Like you can see, like this is one of the, this is how the response would look like. So if you specifically ask any question around what are the retirement investment, like you can use the word like options or vehicles. It used to like kind of respond like both has the same meaning. It responds to the question. We don't have the word vehicles there here, right? But then it actually still like responds. It is able to understand the context and it responds. And when I ask like what other options you have within the RRSP, it gives me the details of like what all stock you have here. So these stock options, bonds, and everything. This is what it generally gives. But yeah, I think it may be taking a bit of time to like warm up. I think I need to give like some more time. Okay, that's weird. But anyways, I think I primarily like you have to work more around the prompt engineering here. Like you can, so whatever instructions you gave here, right? So those ones, and you have to make sure those connections are right. So something is wrong. I think it was responding like a few hours ago, but then I was like playing around and I think I messed up something. I don't know what I did. Then the next one is the insight agent. So here in the insight agent, like let's probably ask a specific question. Yeah, I'm asking like I can contribute 50K per year. So here you can think of like there are like certain dynamic elements here. You have like multiple options, but then the limits for each of these are set by government, and it changes every quarter or every year as well. It changes like pretty frequently, and certain elements like of those interest rates and all of these changes very dynamically every day as well. But generally, the model won't be familiar with that unless it has the Google search grounding or the real-time knowledge. We come in here. Think I changed some major setting. I'm sorry, guys, but then it actually responds back in the right way. But I think I was playing around with the prompts and I think I forgot to save or something. So here you can see like this is what it responds. So here you can see in this, if you're able to contribute 50,000 per year, right? It actually says like the maximum contribution limit for 2024 is only 7,000 for TFSA. So you can put 7,000 into the TFSA. And then for 2024, like the limit for RRSP is 31,560. So you can put that into the RRSP, right? So this kind of like very specific information based on the 2024, the recent updates from the government, it is able to respond, right? And all of these details, before it responds, it actually cross checks with different articles, authorized articles from different government websites, and it kind of gives us the precise right response. So that is what it does here. Any questions? Okay.
We
Yeah,
have a question from Suman. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was just asking like, are there any Sitecore customers currently using Vertex AI with their applications in the real time?
No, as far as I know, right now they are not using, like it's still in the preview mode, uh, but uh, but it is being applied for certain back-end functionalities right now. So not for the front end, like certain other back-end functionalities, like when they create any article, right? Like when they want to do any Google search and certain other, like even within our company, we are doing like certain we are building certain IPs for which we are using Gemini AI, which is all backend, not direct customer facing, but for backend we are using. Good. And here is the overview of the GitHub repository here that you can see. And this part, like here you can see the .zip file. This is the export of whatever I have here. And if you want to import, you can import this one. And I've covered those instructions there in the README file. And this is the function app. In the function app, what I do is that this is the Open API tool that you saw that calls this function app. And here what I'm doing is I'm getting the knowledge base response. So that like adding some kind of context of what our company does, right? And then I'm getting the PA info from the Google. Here is where the Google search grounding happens. So these two calls, like these can happen in parallel as well. And then we're preparing the agent response by supplying both of these information. So this is what we do here. And with more of prompt engineering and more of fine tuning the APIs, like you can combine all of these into like a single call or at least two calls. And here you have the Sitecore Connect. This is on Ruby. This is the connector SDK which you can import. And this is the recipe. And this is the SPE module. It includes serialized files. Okay. Yeah, that's that. And yeah, I think I changed some prompt or something. That's why it's not working. But then I'll probably make out a video. I'll fix this. I'll make out a video and then I'll send it to you guys.
We understand now how it is working and all. That's okay, not a problem.
Okay, thank you. So then yeah, that's it. Here are some of the resources that you can leverage. Like the first one is the GitHub repository. This is public, which we saw, and this is the kind of Sitecore Connect connector. The link of it is already in part of the GitHub itself. And the Google Cloud Console, here is where like you will create the project, you'll create the credentials, you'll create all of these agent apps and everything. And this is a Vertex AI documentation. And one thing to note is like I've already built applications with OpenAI, and building with Google Cloud Console was pretty much easier than the OpenAI because you don't have to do the embedding, you don't have to do the chunking. So all of these like comes inbuilt with those capabilities because they want to compete with OpenAI, so they have done more. But if you look at the proportion of like how many people are using it, it is relatively small at this point because they came late into the game. But eventually, like I'm expecting a very tough competition looking at all the responses that I have seen, right? So the Gemini, how far, how it responds, like how relevant the content is, and all of these, I think it would be a very tight competition, like between the OpenAI and Gemini soon. And I would recommend if you're building any chat application, like try to build it in such a way that you can switch the models. So that's it for today. Any other questions, team?
Mm. There is a question from KSHN. He asked that, I think you did
Hmm.
already cover this, but I'll just read out the question. When we have
Hmm.
ChatGPT and all, why Vertex? What is the purpose of it using it? Can you give a short overall more clarity? It seems.
Yeah. So, so yeah, this is around like if it's primarily if your client's infrastructure is within Google Cloud Platform, then it's the best solution, right? And if your client's primary platform is within Azure, then OpenAI is the best solution. And with XM Cloud in the picture, like we can expect both type of clients, right? Like who has invested in Google Cloud Platform as well as the Azure OpenAI thing. But if you go like even more detailed, right? So if you want like Google search grounding, like if you want like more real-time responses for certain type of customers, right? Like if you are building an application for a travel client, they have heavy interactions with the weather, right? The weather and multiple things happening within a specific country. If somebody wants to travel, right? So they may ask certain questions like which are like more relevant to the country's situation, like maybe what all they should pack, like multiple things, right? Like which you cannot, it's very multidimensional, right? Like if you are a company, like which is, if you're a US company and if you are providing a travel service like to multiple destinations within the world, then you have to cover like multiple different aspects, like which is very hard to do within the website or within the API as well. So the knowledge bot, I mean the bot that you're building should have the real-time knowledge, and you can restrict it within the prompt, right? Like only if the user asks questions about the weather, you have to do the Google search grounding, right? So that kind of restrictions you can make. And for those specific scenarios, Gemini will work better. And if you want, like, if your documents are not well structured right now. For example, like one of the use cases which I mentioned in the beginning, like if you need 1 million token limit in your request to the model, right? So if you have like, if your documents are well structured for answering multiple types of questions, right? For example, like if you have like one listing document which covers all of those products, and if you have multiple separate documents, then when the user asks the question, like if it's OpenAI, right, it has like 128 kilo token limit, it finds the listing document and it gives a relevant response. But if your document is not well structured, and if it's spread across multiple things, and if 1 million token limit is what you need, then Gemini is the answer. Like because OpenAI is not able to give that 1 million token limit, it's only 128K. So it depends on your use case, like which I've covered in those first 2-3 slides. So depending on that, you have to select what is the right one.
I think that's a very detailed explanation.
Mhm.
And I think, yeah,
Yeah,
this is whole up to a new level because this is all like new the upcoming technology, right? Because we are using AI, but still there's a lot to be
Mhm.
covered. So I think it's a level up for me. So I would try to
Mhm.
make use in like as you said, back end also we need to improve from there, right? I think it's a really good presentation. So thank you, Subramanian. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, team. It was nice seeing you all. And if you have any further questions, like Slack me and I'll respond.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a great day,
Yeah.
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Thank you.